Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All praises due to Allah, the Lord of the universe. Good morning, Mrs. Wiwit and my dear classmates. We are from the Group 1. It is such a pleasure to see you all in this wonderful day. In this valuable opportunity, we are going to present the result of our discussion. The first one is about English for specific purposes. The second one is needs analysis. And the third one is course design. And now, let me introduce my group members. First of all, my name is Deva, and then followed by Protein, Minha, Abidin, and the last one is Emma. Alright, let us begin from the very first part of this course, English for specific purposes. This course is originated from the demands of a brave new world. The end of the Second World War in 1945 heralded an age of enormous and unprecedented expansion in scientific, technical, and economic activity on an international scale. This expansion created a world unified and dominated by two forces, technology and commerce, which in their relentless progress soon generated a demand for international language. The effect was to create a whole new mass of people wanting to learn English, not for the pleasure or prestige of knowing the language, but because English was the key to the international currencies of technology and commerce. Nowadays, ESP is known as a subset of English as a second or foreign language. It usually refers to teaching the English language to university students or people already in employment, with reference to the particular vocabulary and skills they need. However, here are the definitions of ESP according to several experts. The first one from Hutchinson and Waters, 1987. ESP is a language teaching approach which is based on designing courses to meet learners' needs. Then, the second one from Paltrich and Starfield in 2013, English for specific purposes refers to the teaching and learning of English as a second or foreign language where the goal of the learners is to use English in a particular domain. And the last definition is from Helen Pasterkman in 2010, which is ESP as a language that is learned not for its own sake or for the sake of gaining general education, but to smooth the path to entry or greater linguistic efficiency in academic, professional, or workplace environments. Alright, next, there are two major branches of ESP. They are EAP and EOP. EAP stands for English for Academic Purposes, and EOP stands for English for Occupational Purposes. The following table shows the differences between EAP and EOP. The first one, EAP, is a branch of ESP in that the teaching content is matched to the requirements of learners academically. Second, learners need to learn English in order to succeed in their academic careers. And the third, EAP teaching is task-based, using the types of academic tasks commonly found in higher education. And then EOP, the first one, is a branch of ESP and covers situations in which learners are studying English for work-related reasons. And the second one, learners need to learn English in order to improve their job performance. And the third, EOP was also seen as an opportunity for personal development among those who have a long-term goal to improve English communication skills of work and life. In short, the main differences between these are EAP is geared towards learners who are studying to enter a higher education program, focused on academic language, while EOP is geared towards learners who are studying to enter professions, focused on occupational language. For your information, both learners are categorized as pre-experienced ESP. So, here are some pictures that illustrate the idea of EAP and EOP in their real life setting. As we can see there, the EAP aims at higher education level, while the EOP aims at several preferred jobs. So that is all from me. Thanks for your attention. The next following slides will be presented by my teammate, Minha, time is yours.
Thank you, Deva. The next slide will talk about the advantages of ESP according to the experts. The first advantage of ESP comes from Hutchinson and Waters, 1987, that learners are most likely to be engaged with the target case because the learning materials already match with the student's needs. And the next advantage of ESP, according to Busterman 2010, learners may be more motivated in subjects related to their fields of practice or study since the students are more interested in the topics and the text which related to their work or fields of the study, so that the learning process will be more efficient. And the next advantage of ESP comes from Paltrich and Starfield 2013. The learners can be focused toward their academic or occupational needs. The next slide talks about the roles of ESP practitioners. According to Dudley Evans and John, 1998, there are 5 roles of ESP practitioners. They are as a teacher, as a collaborator, as a course designer and material provider, as a researcher, and also as an evaluator. First, as a teacher, the ESP practitioner should create opportunities of learning, should generate authentic communication, and also they should choose the appropriate teaching method that suits with the student's need. And the second, as a collaborator, the ESP practitioners should collaborate with other ESP practitioners or subject specialists in order to get more knowledge of the content. And the third, as a course designer and material provider, the ESP practitioners should create their own materials and also they have to adjust the authentic materials used in workplace. And the fourth, as a researcher, the ESP practitioner should engage with the students' target needs, goals, and interests. And also they should upgrade their knowledge on the subject matter and look for the authentic materials. And last, as an evaluator, the ESP practitioners should consider the different stages in the evaluation process. Move to the next slide. Where does English for Vocational High School belong? EAP or EOP? And then our group agreed that English for Vocational High School is belong to EOP, since EOP itself can be divided into two, which are English for Vocational Purposes or EVP and English for Professional Purposes or EBP. The underlying goal of EVP instruction is to have students function well in a workplace or a vocational higher education setting where English serves as a medium of communication. Since the goal of vocational high school is to equip students with the skills they need to enter the workforce of their choosing, so that the English for vocational high school is obviously belong in OP. And then the next slide will be presented by our partner, Abidin. Time is yours.
Thank you, Minha, for the opportunity. Next, move on to the next subtopic, which is about needs analysis. So, what is meant by needs? According to Highland in Paltridge and Starfield, needs is actually an umbrella term that embraces many aspects, incorporating learners' goals and backgrounds, their language proficiencies, their reasons for taking the course, their teaching and learning preferences, and the situations they will need to communicate in. So in short, needs can involve what learners know and do not know or want to know, and can be collected and analyzed in a variety of ways. Now turning to needs analysis itself. So according to Basturkman 2010, need analysis is a stage in which the course developers identify what specific language and skills the group of language learners will need. In other words, it is the means of establishing the how and what of the course. It is a continuous process since we modify our teaching as we come to learn more about our students. And in this way, it actually shades into evaluation, the means of establishing the effectiveness of a course. After we found out the definition of needs analysis, then the next question is, what is needs analysis for? What is the purpose of conducting needs analysis? So needs analysis is needed for identifying which language skills is used in determining and refining the content, especially for the ESP course. It can also be used to assess learners and learning at the end of the course, according to Basturkman 2010. So basically, needs analysis is aimed to determine priorities such as writing skills, like reading, writing, listening, and speaking, and which situations or tasks, such as speaking on the telephone or writing minutes from meetings, were more or less important in the target situation. Next, in collecting the data for needs analysis, a course developer needs to take two things into consideration. Their source of information and also methods. Source of information could include published and unpublished literature, learners, teachers and applied linguists, domain experts, and triangulated sources, or comparison of a range of data sources. Meanwhile, methods can include expert intuitions, participant and non-participant observation, and unstructured interviews, surveys and questionnaires, structured interviews, and less commonly criterion reference performance tests. Other methods for needs analysis in ESP could largely be seen as designed to collect ethnographically oriented information to gain an insider's view of the ESP situation. This would include detailed longitudinal observations of the setting, focus group discussions, and analysis of participants' diaries and journals, in addition to the more quantitative data collection methods. The next will be continued by our groupmate Rotin. Time is yours.
Okay, for the next discussion that we will discuss in this opportunity is about course design. For the next discussion about course design, the first question is about ESP practitioner should be a good provider's materials. Do we agree with that statement? Of course, we agree with that. Since ESP practitioner should available the materials for the students, and they the ones who understand what the students needs. They can make appropriate materials based on what students want. For the next aspect about course design is about what aspects are considered in course design. There are 4 points that are discussed. The first point is focusing the course. This one talk about how specific the ESP practitioner must make the materials based on the student needs. And the second one is about determining the course content. There are real content and career content, and the second one is planning the syllabus. Real content and career content, the ESP practitioner must understand how to make the career content into real content to be taught in a class. And the third one is about developing materials. Of course, if we know what student needs, the ESP practitioners must develop their materials based on what students want and based on what student needs from needs analysis. And the fourth one is about evaluating course and materials. Every course must be evaluated to make a better teaching and learning process in the future. So that's why this step must also be considered in course design. For the next slide, the next discussion about course design is about its parameters. What are the parameters of course design? There are 9 questions. The first question is this one. Should the course be intensive or extensive? The second one, should the learner's performance be assessed or non-assessed? And the third one, should the course deal with immediate needs or with delayed needs? The fourth, should the role of the teacher be that of the provider of knowledge and activities or of a facilitator of activities arising from learners' expressed wants? And the next one is, should the course have a broad or narrow focus? And the sixth one, should the course be pre-study or pre-experience or non-parallel with that study or experience? Next point, number 7. Should the material be common core or specific to learner's study or work? And then 8. Should the group taking the course be homogeneous or heterogeneous? And number 9, should the course design be worked out by the language teacher after consultations with the learners and the institutions, or should it be subject to a process of negotiation with the learners? Okay, that's all for my part. For the next part will be continued by my partner. Thank you.
Thank you, Rotin, for the explanation. Now I will explain the rest of the slides. After this slide, we have a question of what will a good material provider be able to do? According to Ibrahim's journal, which published on 2019, a good material provider will be able to create materials that suit the learner's needs and organize the teaching materials, whether they are authentic or handmade ones, such as audio materials, printed materials, and video materials. Now up to the next slide about teacher-generated materials or TGM. So, teacher-generated materials or TGM, it develops innovative and imaginative educational materials for students that is created by teachers for both teachers and students to make teaching and learning sessions more effective and fun in the classroom. So there are 4 points if you use TGM. One is matching career content to real content. Second is providing variety. Third is grading exercise. And 4, and presenting the material well. Now on to the next slide. And the last slide, we have learner-generated material. Learner-generated materials, or LGM, it allows teachers to bring student experiences into the community of practice and acknowledges the importance of their prior experiences in knowledge production. It's not at all unusual to encounter. Implementation of the materials for instructional purposes opens a whole new area of exploration. Instructors are able to use LGM as the object lesson and the basis of discussion that could elevate the students in the course to be co-instructors and asking them to learn or to anticipate teaching others and to design and evaluate such work. So here are the references that we used. And that brings us to the end of the presentation. Me and my colleagues would like to thank you for your time and attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.